Welcome to Chill Pencilmation. Are you ready? Number 7. Why do we still use the foot to measure? Imagine every country measuring length by the king's shoe size. Sounds ridiculous, but in 12th century England, King Henry I literally declared that his own foot was the standard, 12 inches, no questions asked. The problem? No two human feet are the same. If they use my shoe size, the entire measurement system would have been chaos. That's why the metric system, based on natural constants, gradually took over worldwide. Except for the US, which still clings to feet, yards, miles out of tradition, and because switching to metric would be expensive and messy. But sticking to old habits comes at a price. The US National Institute of Standards and Technology has pointed out that unit mix-ups have caused billions of dollars in losses. In fact, in 1999, a $125 million Mars probe was destroyed because of a mix-up between foot-pound and meter-kilogram units. So next time you measure your living room in feet, remember, you're literally stepping into the footprint of a medieval king.
Number 6. Have you ever wondered why a minute has 60 seconds, an hour has 60 minutes, and not 100 to make things simpler? The answer goes back 4,000 years, when the Sumerians and Babylonians had a special fondness for the number 60. Why? Because 60 can be divided evenly by so many numbers, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It was incredibly convenient for calculations in an era without pocket calculators. As a result, they built an entire mathematical system based on base 60. Time, angles, the 360-degree circle, all of it originated from that choice. And as later civilizations adopted it, the number 60 became firmly woven into human history. Today, many scientists have proposed switching to a decimal system for easier learning and consistency with the metric system. But after thousands of years, 60 has become a global habit. That's why you still live with clocks divided into 60 steps. In other words, every time you watch the second hand move, you're continuing the mathematical tradition of the ancient Babylonians.
Caps mark knowledge, rings mark love, but the real reason isn't nearly as romantic as you think. Number 5. Why are graduation caps square like a box? On graduation day, everyone wears that square cap and tosses it in the air as a joyful ritual, but its roots go back to medieval monasteries. In the 14th–15th centuries, European monks and scholars wore a type of cap called the biretta, with a flat top to symbolize authority and learning. When universities expanded, this evolved into the mortar board, literally named after the board used to hold mortar in masonry, because of its square shape. Gradually, it became a global symbol of academia. The square is seen as the foundation of knowledge, while the dangling tassel represents the continuing path of learning. Some researchers even compare the cap to a bridge between the study years and real life. Today, even though people joke that it looks goofy and impractical, the square cap remains essential. Tossing it in the air isn't just celebration, it's marking a major life transition. Number 4. Why do we wear wedding rings on the ring finger? This tradition started with the ancient Romans. They believed the ring finger had a special vein, called the vena amoris, or vein of love, running straight to the heart. So putting a ring there was like declaring, love flows directly from the hand to the heart. Romantic, yes, but modern science shows no such vein exists. So why does the tradition survive? Because symbolism is stronger than biology. Wearing the ring on the ring finger gradually became a cultural standard, reinforced by the Christian Church and later spread worldwide. Sociological studies also show that wedding rings boost feelings of commitment and act as a social signal showing you're married. Today, even though nobody believes in a literal vein of love, the ring on that finger is still the clearest way to say, I belong to someone else.
A handshake is meant to build trust, but it's not that simple. Number 3. Why do we shake hands when meeting? These days, shaking hands is just polite, but it began as a way to ease fears of violence. In ancient Greece and Rome, extending the right hand, the hand usually used to hold weapons, proved you weren't hiding a sword or dagger. It was basically saying with your body, I come in peace. Over time, the gesture spread across medieval Europe. Knights would even shake vigorously to make sure no one had a blade hidden up their sleeve. By the 17th and 18th centuries, handshakes were formalized among nobles and merchants, then spread to society at large. Interestingly, research from Oxford University shows that a firm handshake, not too strong, not too limp, raises trust in social interactions. In other words, the handshake still serves its original purpose, building trust. The only difference is that instead of proving I'm not armed, it now proves I'm worth working with. Number 2, why do the days of the week have those names?
Ever wondered why Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday all sound like mythology? In many European languages, days were named after Roman and Norse gods. For example, Monday, Moon's Day; Tuesday, the war god Tyr; Thursday, Thor, the thunder god; Friday, Freya, the goddess of love. The Romans used Mars for Tuesday, Mardi in French; Jupiter for Thursday, Jeudi. Why? Because ancient people believed planets and gods ruled over human life. As the 7-day calendar spread with Rome, this naming tradition stuck. Later, Germanic tribes translated the Roman gods into their own, giving us names like Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday that we still use today. Linguists note that linking days with gods also made it easier to memorize the weekly cycle. And us, we still casually use these names, rarely thinking that they're echoes of mythology from 2,000 years ago.
And now, the last secret, the biggest twist. Number 1, why do men still hang themselves with neckties? The necktie, often seen as the modern office symbol, actually has military roots. In the 17th century, Croatian mercenaries wore cloths around their necks to keep warm and identify their units. The French thought the look was both stylish and elegant, so they brought it to Paris and called it the cravat, the ancestor of today's tie. From there, the battlefield scarf evolved into a fashion accessory, then into a formal requirement among European nobles and statesmen. Over time, it spread worldwide, becoming a marker of professionalism, even though many men secretly see it as a legal noose at work. What's interesting is that social psychology research shows ties still create impressions of trustworthiness and authority in settings like job interviews or negotiations. In other words, wearing a tie might not make you feel comfortable, but it does make others trust you more. Which is why, complaints aside, most men still obediently knot up when the occasion calls for it. Oh, you're still here. You've given us the best gift, your time. Hit subscribe and let's keep this journey of uncovering humanity's mysteries going.